Good day, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have with us Shama Habib, came to Canada in 2017, was a teacher back home and had a very interesting journey. So that before even landing here, or in a very short time, she was able to get into the school board. So we will hear her journey. So Shama, if you can get started by telling us a little bit about yourself first.
Thank you so much, Saad. Yes, my name is Shama Habib, and I was a teacher back home also. I've done my master's in English linguistics from University of Karachi, and then I taught at a couple of renowned schools in Karachi. So I've taught at the City School, I've taught at Beacon House, I've taught at Foundation Public, and I have taught in a business college as well. So I've taught business communication and business English as well. Canada, we made a plan to come to Canada in like around 2015, 2016. And then I finally got my visa on the passport in 2017 March. Now, this was the time when we actively started planning on how and what we would do when we would land in Canada. So I was lucky enough to have a friend who was a teacher here in Canada. So she was able to guide me on how I could start my application process to become a licensed teacher while I was in Pakistan. So March 2017 is when I applied to Ontario College of Teachers while sitting in Pakistan. They ask you to provide them a long list of documents. So if you're here in Canada, then it becomes super challenging because you just cannot knock at all the dean's doors to all the universities and schools and colleges that you've gone to. Even if you write emails, somehow we don't really get very active responses, from Pakistan universities and colleges in an email. So Ontario College of Teachers has this very fixed requirement that they want your university, your school, and your college administration to send them all the verification of your documents directly. They don't accept HEC verification and all that we get for the visa purposes. So they want direct verification from the university administration and from the college and from the school. So I was lucky enough to be in Pakistan for those 4 months. So I spent a lot of time running through all those universities and colleges and every office that I had to go to. So much so that sometimes I had to buy a toner for them so they could take a printout for me so I could send it to Canada. But then I think that really paid me well when I landed here. So I came here in August 2017. OCT takes a year and a half. That's the standard procedure for them. Even if you're a Canadian graduate, it takes a year to become an OCT licensed, Ontario College of Teachers licensed teacher. So it took me a year and a half when they sent me my license with conditions on it because my documentation was complete. Um, English, proof of English is also a very challenging part. People can do IELTS, but the IELTS score is, it's like a high score that they require to become a teacher. And then you have, in my case, I was lucky that my master's was in English. So that did support me. But that's another area where we can work before we start our application. So, anyways, when I was here, I got my license, and meanwhile, I had not stopped my journey. So I started teaching in private schools by putting on my resume that my teaching license is in progress. So I have taught at a number of private schools here in Toronto and in Mississauga. And 2019, when I got my teaching license, I started applying to the public boards. Now, getting into the public boards is a little challenging, but I would still recommend this to everyone because at the end of the day, it pays you well. And I'm not talking about monetary benefits. I'm talking about that peace of mind that you have that you're at the right place where you want to be. So, um, my license had a number of conditions that I had to complete. I could complete all those conditions by being a full-time student in a university for 1 year. I had to pay my bills also. So what we decided mutually, my husband and myself, that I did all those courses, but I did those as a part-timer, which means I could now not apply for OSAP. So I had to pay out of the pocket. It took me 3 years to complete my conditions on the license. By the time it was 2020, November 2020 is when I got my first job with the Durham District School Board. So I've actually worked for 4 different school boards in Canada because I lived in Mississauga and I was going to Durham doing occasional teaching, going only on the days when some teacher would be absent there. My second job was Waterloo District School Board. Third was Halton, where I live now, but now I'm working for Peel Board, where I used to live earlier. So I think it's been a good roller coaster journey, very, very rewarding in multiple ways. At every stage, when I completed like one milestone, I had that sense of fulfillment and achievement, which I still cherish today. So I'm really happy that I went through all these processes.
Amazing. This is quite a journey, and I think is a result out of your planning that you had done before coming here. So That's a good part of it. So, tell us a little bit about your one day in the life of Shama Habib. How does your day start? When does it end? What kind of activities that you need to do, or those kind of things?
My typical weekday is school in the morning. I teach high school now as a permanent teacher. By the way, to become a permanent teacher in the board, it requires like 3 to 5 years. And I was lucky that I got permanent in 3 years. So now I'm a permanent teacher with high school. And so my typical school day is like in the morning, it's my school commitments. After my school gets over, then I spend all my rest of my day doing my own business. I work as a financial advisor also. During COVID, when school jobs were not available and occasional teachers did not really have any place to go, that's when I started getting another license. So I could just make sure that I had some, bills being paid and everything. So I do that till
Nice.
8.
8 to 8 kind of schedule.
It's actually, I would say, 7 to 9 kind of
Wow.
schedule.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 7 to 9 kind of schedule, but then I think not having a family here makes it up really well. So the more busy I am, better I feel. And on the
Yeah,
weekends, I think both my husband and I, we enjoy networking and socialization. So
that's
we
nice.
meet our friends also. So now our friends have become very close family to
Wow.
us.
Amazing.
So
So, in terms of the school, do you also end up grading assignments and you have to teach the whole class plans? So, I do want to talk a little bit about this. This is an interesting subject in itself. With the whole transformation in AI, as you've seen, and a lot of lectures being available online, there's Khan Academy, there is all those other kind of online platforms that are available. How do you think the school board is evolving, and how is your role as a teacher evolving in all of this?
Mhm. So I think for me, initially also it was a major shift because coming from Pakistan, though I was teaching in private schools, but still the teaching methodology there and the teaching methodology here is, if not more, it's slightly different, right? The teaching behavior, the approach, overall, it's very, very different actually. So first learning all that and now these ID challenges also that have come in. Interestingly, my last assignment was virtual school. So I taught at Peel Virtual Secondary School last semester and that means that I get a lot more assignments from AI, and because students are submitting everything online, and it's very convenient and easy. So now you have to find ways. I think teachers always find, just like parents, teachers always find ways to find out like where that AI detection is. I encourage my students to use AI. I'm happy when they use technology because that's like newer skills and it prepares them better for the society. But at the same time, I want them to acknowledge the fact that their own work should be their own work. If you take help, then then you give the due credit that work deserves. And using AI and not giving credit, it still qualifies as plagiarism. So some of my teaching secrets I probably would not share because I know
No,
my
you
students
don't
might
have to.
watch
But
that. But then
tell
teachers
me.
always have ways to find out that this is AI. The
Amazing.
way if I talk to you for like a couple of days, I would know that this is Saad's voice. I can
Okay.
recognize, then I should be able to recognize you in a crowd also. Just like that, if my teacher writes me an assignment 3 to 4 days, after that, after the first week, I can recognize my student's voice in the language there. So I
Mm.
encourage them to use AI. I encourage them to use ChatGPT. It's an amazing research tool, I would say, but it should not be the tool to copy paste assignments.
For sure. No, copy paste is absolutely not recommended for sure. But one thing, do you see in times to come, because I've been in the teaching profession myself as well, not at the school level, but probably at the university and college level. But what do we see? Do you see yourself being replaced by a robot?
Okay, interestingly, it's possible. Why not? Right? With all those online courses, where students are actually doing a good job. Like they're learning a lot of skills from so many online platforms now, and they don't need a direct medium of instruction. But then AI also has to be programmed, right? Someone has to be there to feed information into it, and information keeps on changing. So maybe my role would change, but not entirely. Like it would switch to another situation. So I think I need to be, as a teacher and as a progressive teacher, I need to be more ready and more accepting to those changing requirements in my job. And I have to embrace them and I have to accept those. So yes, replacement is possible. Nothing is irreplaceable. So that's pretty much it's going to happen eventually. But where would then I find my place? That's what I need to find out.
Makes sense. One last question, Shama, before we let you go is For those folks who are planning to move to Canada and who are teachers there and want to move here in the teaching profession, what would your advice be to them?
So teaching actually is a work of passion. I always say that to everyone. If you're passionate about it, I would say this is definitely an area for you. This is a field for you, so go for it. When I came here, at the airport now they give you those newcomer material. So I went to Access Center and I went to YMC and all these places, and I was highly discouraged, and people here in those HR offices telling me that teaching is very saturated, you're not going to make much, you might not find your spot or your place there. So you better find another career, right? So I'm so glad that I did not listen to that. I'm so glad that I continued my journey. I had network is really, really important. So because I knew a couple of people who were in teaching profession, so they were the one who were encouraging me that eventually I'll be there. I just need to, have that faith and keep on going. I would say anyone who wants to become a teacher, Canada definitely offers you a lot of opportunities in the public sector also, at the end of the day. So please go for it. I
If they
would
don't
be
get replaced by robots. Just kidding.
find another then find another. Trust me, there would be another job for you. Yes,
Absolutely.
then
No,
you'll be
agreed.
programming the robot in the background.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shama. Really nice talking to you about this, about the teaching profession, and hopefully folks watching can benefit from this. So thank you so much for doing this today.
100%. Thank you so much. And I'll be super happy to help anyone who wants to know like how to get into it, because it is a lot of details. So the system seems to be complicated. It's not, it's super easy. It's just that you have to keep going. So go for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.